stuck here. The cops won't bother me. First crash. Hey guys, here I am with my V-Strom 650 2006, and this is a cb500x that I'm going to be riding cross country. As you can see, they're very different bikes, but they're similar in their riding position. Curious to see how well it's going to do on the highway and riding all the way from DC to Arizona. I'm going to get this bike ready for a long tour because I'm going to switch some things from my bike to this one. This one does not have a lot of wind protection, and wind protection is something that's really important for riding cross country. V-Strom has got this really nice windscreen by Magstad that's adjustable, and I love this thing. It's very effective. This one gets much better gas mileage than this one. This one gets about like 50 to 55 miles to the gallon. This one gets like 66 miles to the gallon. I plan on saving money by camping instead of like hotels. I'm probably only going to stay at a hotel if it's extremely bad out, and I probably don't plan on doing that. Let's get this bike ready for the cross-country trip, and then we can get started. If you guys don't know, I have ridden this V-Strom cross-country. I did about 3 months cross-country, and I rode about 20,000 miles. It was pretty incredible. It never failed to work. Like, I dropped it once in a desert in Utah, in a gravel road, but otherwise, man, this thing is just so good. I'm going to take one of these. This is a air pump that connects to a cigarette lighter, so I have to install a cigarette lighter on the bike. I'm going to be taking these gloves. These are Joe Rocket leather gloves that come up to your wrist. Yep, these are the pants that I took cross country for 2 whole months on the V-Strom. This is all I wore, and these are motorcycle pants, and they have protection in the knees. They have some protection in the butt area. You can see there's like this chamois in the back, and they also have a zipper here that you can zip to your jacket if you need to. I'm going to be taking this jacket. It's a leather jacket, and I know it's going to be hot, but I've had this for 20 years. Joe Rocket, all the zippers have fallen off, but it's a pretty flexible jacket in case it gets cold somewhere, which I don't see it getting cold. There's a couple of vents here on the arms that let air in. This is a pad for camping. You inflate it. I actually don't like these very much because at the end of the day, the last thing I want is to like be puffing into one of these. In this big bag that I've had for years, it's an Eagle Creek Journey or something like that. It's very big. It's got a bunch of holes, but I just need to basically use this and carry all my stuff in the airplane when I come back. This might be overkill, but it's something that plugs into your cigarette lighter, and then you have an outlet to charge. I'm not really sure if I'm going to take this, but I kind of want to. This is an Airhawk cushion, and it sits like this on the bike, and a friend of mine gave me this, and I've had an Airhawk before, and I actually used it on the trip, but somehow I got a puncture, and midway I just ended up throwing it away. But I've had this for years and years. This makes it so much better having one of these than having a custom seat made. These are very, very comfortable. You just inflate them with a little air, and they make riding these bikes for a long period much more comfortable. You can't really go wrong with these two bikes. The good side of the V-Strom for cross country is that it's a very comfortable bike. It's much more comfortable. I can tell right away from just riding that one that this is a much more comfortable bike than the cb500x for a cross country trip. And nothing to do with the motor, nothing. It's just the ergonomics of the bike and the way it feels. It's so much more comfortable. The wind protection is vastly superior. This one does have a nice windscreen, and it is in the top position, but it's a much smaller bike. Even though it's only like 500cc and this is 650cc, this one makes, I believe, a better commuter bike for in-town riding. I wouldn't hesitate to ride this cross country. I think if it was my bike and I was going to spend some money on it, I would definitely like suit it up a little bit for touring. I would definitely get the panniers. The panniers make it much easier to carry stuff. And since it doesn't have panniers or a lot of luggage capacity, I'm going to have to tie stuff down to the seat, which is not ideal because oftentimes you want to stop somewhere, go to a restaurant, and you don't want to take your stuff with you because people do steal stuff. I've never had the experience of anybody stealing stuff from my bike over the years, but it could happen. This seat is a lot narrower than the V-Strom. The V-Strom is much wider, and I think that's one of the things that make it a much better bike for long distance touring. Lightweight tourer, I probably would steer you more towards the V-Strom than this, but for me, since I do like efficient bikes, I do like the inline twos a lot. This will make a great bike, and it gets over 60 miles to the gallon. This doesn't really get over 60 miles to the gallon. Most likely in touring mode, in the sprocket configuration, it gets like 50, maybe 52 miles to the gallon. Suzuki is just a very safe bet. If you have $3,000 to spend, you want a commuter, you want a touring bike, the V-Strom 650 is probably the better bike for you. These bikes go for a little bit more money. They cost about like $4,000, $3,000 to $4,000, and they use market depending on the miles. ABS will cost you a little bit more, but these you can have. Like I've literally found a lot of these for like $2,500. If you can get this bike with 50,000 miles, buy it for $2,500, and you'll put 50,000 more miles on it. No issues at all. These bikes are just made for riding. The V-twin motor is incredibly powerful, incredibly good, very durable. So we have the GPS here. I got the wire, and I should be able to tell if it's receiving power as soon as I put it in. So let's see, it's in. Yep, now you see the outlet on there. That means it's reading. What we have here is a USB charger, and I have just a cable to charge an iPhone. I'm gonna put it in here. It's connected. Now I have my phone, and let's see if it works. Yep, charging. I'm gonna try charging. This is the cigarette adapter that I have. This is to charge a laptop and various other devices. I really hate that it is getting power, so that's excellent. So I just have my wires here. I'm probably gonna dangle them like this on the bike. This is probably like the easiest way. Put a piece of electrical tape here so I don't scratch the handlebar too much. I have to remove this GPS mount. This is just the RAM mount that I have. So I did put a piece of tape here so it doesn't scratch it, but hopefully that's going to be good enough. And I'm just going to thread this through. It doesn't look great. It's been around, but it should hold the GPS fairly well. Alright, and that's it. This is where the GPS is going to be going. And then I have this part dangling here, but I plan on maybe tucking this away this way, that way water does not get in. The electronics of the cb500 are ready, and now I just have to worry about the luggage and the way I'm going to be carrying stuff.